See, Star Wars is an interesting franchise, and we did touch on this in the last film discussion, I believe, when we say that...
Well, you talked about our experiences of Star Wars.
Because you got to see it in the cinema being a child of the 80s.
Yes.
I got to see it in the cinema being a child of the 90s when it was re-released.
Oh, we talked about how it crossed generations.
Yeah, so it did. It's one of the only franchises that genuinely is cross generations, and I think that's why it has such a wide appeal.
See, that's why I think... I know neither of us like it, but I've got to have to. That's what I feel Harry Potter has done. Cross the generations.
How so?
Because kids like it and adults like it, and just how prevalent it is. The fact that it's everywhere.
Well, I would rather have Harry Potter than Twilight.
Oh, good God, yeah. I mean, I said that. I don't find the morality of Harry Potter potentially toxic. Yeah. Twilight is a whole other set of videos for me, man.
Yeah, me too. But let's put it this way, because Sam has been forced at gunpoint to sit through the Twilight movies.
Well, I told you about my bad experience in the last one, didn't I? Where I almost walked out.
Yeah. And essentially, your wife has forced you to watch them.
Yeah.
But they're shit. They are shit. And when I was at your house the last time,
that was really interesting because I warned you, didn't I? I said. Yeah.
Well, I thought, I've been to where it's filmed, so at least I'll have that. I'll have the scenery, if nothing else.
Yeah, because you wanted to watch it, and it was like, no, we've got some time before we have to go home, let's watch Twilight. And I'm like, dude, me and you, we will watch some shit for fun, won't we?
Yeah.
And we know it's shit, but we basically look at it within that context and enjoy it. But I said to you, it's a tough sit.
And it really
you didn't make it, did you?
I didn't finish it.
That's the one film I put on for you, and you didn't make it.
No, I think we switched it off after an hour.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to flag. I was starting to fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's dull. Nothing happens.
Well, that was it. I remember you literally said to me, you said, "When does anything happen?" And I had to say, and you were coming towards the final act.
Yeah.
And I literally said, "The other fight in, I think it's an abandoned building." I've seen it a couple of times and I don't remember it. That's how bland the movie is. And you're like, "That's it," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out."
Yeah. So I didn't make it through Twilight.
We should apologise in all seriousness to anyone who likes Twilight who's watching this. Fair play to you.
Film is subjective.
Yeah, but
our
I
opinion
just don't get it.
No, it's... For me, not only is the political and sociological sort of intention of Twilight very murky.
Right.
If you ask me.
I'm going to go ahead and say it, and anyone's opinion on this is their complete opinion. Right? There are no right or wrong opinions in this issue because it's too divisive. But I will say this, pro-life agendas have no business in mass market entertainment focused at teenage girls.
Would you like to launch into your tirade? Because I can see it.
Well, I've just done it. But it's the
Tell them about your bad experience.
Right. Literally, I went and see Breaking Dawn. And on one level, right, Breaking Dawn I struggle with because that is one movie where nothing much happens. It's like Harry Potter 7 Part 1.
7 Part 1?
Yeah, it is 7.1. Nothing happens in that either, really. But basically I sat there and I'm like, alright, I'm struggling with this because nothing much happens. Spoiler for Twilight, they make with the nasty, and it was like, alright, okay. Basically Bella becomes pregnant.
Yeah.
And they're all saying you should get rid of the... Now, it's a divisive issue. They're all saying you should get rid of the kid, because basically because it's a vampire child, it starts draining her from the inside.
Yeah.
It's literally harming her. And she says, no, I'm keeping it, it's my decision. And I was like, alright, my body, my choice, and But to be fair, as crap as it is, it does go into some interesting things because they go, we might have to make this decision for her because it's going to kill her.
Yeah.
And they're going, right, we got to kill what's inside. And then Edward, because he has telepathic powers, goes, wait, it has a mind. It has a soul. At which point, I felt my hands grip the sides of the seat.
Yeah.
Because I looked around and all I saw was mothers with teenage daughters all lapping it up, and I just thought, this is not okay. Your views on the issue are completely yours, but you cannot push that agenda in a piece of mass market entertainment.
Yeah.
That is not appropriate. I mean, where do you stand on that?
On whether or not you can
Push any form of agenda in mass market
I
entertainment.
think, to be honest, I am of the opinion that you can present an argument, and
Well,
that's
you can't
fair
push an
enough,
agenda.
because you can't push an agenda, because in essence a film or a song is the artist's sort of interpretation, etc., etc., and you can present an argument, present an opinion, but to blatantly imprint that agenda on its target audience,
and be aware that that target audience is incredibly impressionable.
is wrong, and it does take advantage of the sort of vulnerability of its target audience,
Massively.
which is a shame. And when you compare that to a franchise aimed at a similar target audience, say Star Wars, Twilight's aimed at 13, 14-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Star Wars is aimed at young teenage boys, basically.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's quite interesting. If you can just compare the two, because Twilight, I hate it, but at least it has some form of narrative. When you compare it to the Twilight, when you compare it to the franchise which is focused at teenage boys now, which is Transformers.
yeah,
that's a little worrying.
Transformers is another franchise as well that I feel is harmful in its morality, because it essentially there is literally
America. Fuck
not only that, but there is literally a scene in Transformers 3.
The gynecological exam scene where she's walking up the stairs.
It's not that scene. It's the scene where Rosie Huntington Whiteley's character gets out of the car.
She was a character.
Yeah, she gets out of the car and the camera zooms in on her ass and her tits, and then it'll zoom in on the curves on the car and then back to her. And
women are cars.
Women are objects. They are there to be leered at
Yeah.
and used and nothing else.
It's not okay.
It's not, and it's like the introductory shot of Megan Fox in, is it the first one when she's bent over at a 90-degree angle?
Well, the thing is, in the first one, I don't know. The first Transformers movie, I've said to you, I actually quite like.
We both like that movie.
Yeah.
That's because of Spielberg's input. The fact that it feels like an old-fashioned 80s blockbuster.
Well, I've said to you before, didn't I? That apparently Spielberg saw the script and went, no. It's about Aladdin and his magic car. That's the movie. And then you had Michael Bay. And apparently the whole thing with women are objects and just complete lizard brain. Apparently that is how Michael Bay rolls. That is pretty much him.
But that is not the sort of message that you would want your kids seeing, your son, would you? Really? No. I was always raised to, treat women with respect, like you would anybody else, and blah blah blah. And I think little impressionable little boys going to see that, for the robots fighting each other, are really going to see. It's another agenda, essentially.
Yeah.
It's not a sociological agenda in the same way that Twilight is.
Yeah.
But it's another agenda in that this is how you should treat women, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a completely different thing, but when you compare that to going way back, the very early episode of The Simpsons, the one with Princess Cashmere, right, the one where Homer's dancing, and he's seen dancing with the stripper, and he has to take Bart to. Marge says, "No, I want him to meet this girl." And actually, that's a good agenda, because it's like literally the thing where Homer says, "Wait a minute, they're not just a set of curves. They do have a personality." And that is, it's quite interesting, because I saw an interview yesterday, and it was someone complaining that in Hollywood they don't know how to write women at all. They can't do it convincingly. I mean, I know that your Laura has said that to me.
Laura is very passionate about the treatment of females in mass media. And that brings us on to a film that, by the time you're watching this, you will have seen me talk about The Descent in a previous video. And we talked about this earlier. The Descent is a very good horror movie. But for me, the reason that The Descent works is that it's an all-female cast. The characters are very well written. It's only a 90-minute movie, so we don't have long to flesh out these characters, but they feel like real characters. And it's an interesting sort of character study, and analysis of the dynamic of a group of female friends.
Yeah.
And that's why the film works. And I know that you said when we were talking about this earlier that you hadn't really seen it that way or thought about it that way.
But I will rewatch it through that paradigm.
Because, like I say, that's why it works for me. And then when you get the whole horror and splatter and gore coming into it, that's the guilty pleasure side
Wouldn't I
of
be
it.
right in thinking that 2 of the deaths in the descent come from their strokes rather than the carers? And don't 2 people die just from accidents?
There is one is badly injured,
Yeah.
which leads to a death. There are a series of accidents. They do essentially create their own downfall.
Yeah. Because am I right to give spoilers here?
Well, yeah. Let's just say minor spoilers for the descent coming up.
Am I right in thinking that one of them takes him down the wrong hole on purpose for a more extreme experience?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was fortunate enough to see that at the cinema. By the way, you watch that movie in a dark room, it will shit you up.
Yeah, it is a very effective little horror film. But essentially, the film, the female characters are very well written, I find, because not only are they written like real people, they react to situations realistically, and they're not overtly feminine in its thematic structure.
Yeah.
They do have aspects of femininity in there. I don't know if I've said that right.
Yeah,
so I struggle with that word.
You have.
Essentially, the main character losing a daughter and a
Yeah.
husband, and that's played on, and it's a very sort of, I imagine, female worry.
Yeah.
Is the family?
Well, it's the
element.
nesting thing. Isn't it?
The nesting aspect of a female personality. And it does it very well. It's written by a bloke. It's written by Neil Marshall. Yeah. He's like a Scottish bloke. But I've said this to you, I consider The Descent to be one of the best chick flicks out there, to be honest.
Fair play. I do want to watch it again, just to see it through that lens. But a lot of women aren't written very well. I mean, it's quite funny because we started discussing a topic that was not on the agenda here. But
this is the way it rolls with film discussions.
Buckle up, it's going to be one thing.